You've been at your job for a little bit now, and the novelty is now wearing off. The paycheck is still rolling in, but you know it won't increase until the next time of annual reviews. What was once exciting in the work of learning new skills and overcoming challenges is becoming routine. Unfortunately, what becomes routine now turns into a new habit. You now catch yourself watching the clock tick by until it's time to leave work. Welcome to Tuesdays with Tony. Today I want to share with you some aspects from my second book, Don't Let Life Pass You By, Win the Game of Work and Play. How to overcome aspects of the workplace culture that is potentially creating your dislike for work by first recognizing two well-known psychological concepts. We're going to turn this I can't wait for work to be done to I can't wait to be engaged and get into flow with the work that you do. I'll further draw upon my research and studies in my PhD program in industrial organizational psychology, where I'm learning and studying about effective workplace cultures today. At the end, we'll work through an example of a workplace challenge to put all these elements and skills into play and make them work for you by using the flow channel. We'll get into a state of flow and you won't be staring at the clock ticking by. First, let's review the paradox of work again that I've also shared in a previous video on the channel. The psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi indicated in his research years back that even though the results always said people at work would be able to find these flow states, these optimal experiences where surprisingly some great work can get done, when these participants were asked where they would rather be, they would indicate that they would rather be anywhere but work. Do you feel that way sometimes too? Fast forward to the ongoing research of today, where it's intrinsic motivation that is key to employee engagement. The paycheck is important, you know that, absolutely. But after some point, it's beyond the paycheck that is going to motivate you to get out of bed in the morning. So what you need to do is first, you need to find work that is meaningful to you. It's beyond the paycheck. If you hate what you're doing, it will never be enough to overcome that and get through the day. I worked at FedEx one summer and absolutely hated it. I worked at a golf course cutting grass and enjoyed it, but made half the hourly amount. Now don't get me wrong, I've chased after higher paychecks, and in doing so, I got fired in the end. And even at another point in my career, I found myself at the doctor's office with my chest hurting, and it wasn't an asthma attack. It was actually anxiety and depression from the work I was doing. Funny enough, it's been the times where I focus on the work that I love. Not only have I found myself making more money, but also living a happier and healthier lifestyle. For me, I enjoy being an engineer solving problems and managing the quality systems as they're the backbone of any aerospace manufacturing company. So that's what I'm doing. So this leads to the second consideration. You need to find a good workplace culture, one where you resonate with the values of the employer, but the workplace values you and your contributions. Employers should be remembering your name and not just transacting your employee number in their system. Also, don't just pay attention to what the employer values with all their benefits, but think about what they assume of you as a worker. Is your ideal week going in every weekend to support the overpromised, under-resourced process? Is it expected of you to work long hours beyond the time you're paid? Overcoming aspects of a poor workplace culture that are making you not want to be there can be tough. So let's take a look at a couple of psychological principles to help you see the workplace culture a little differently. The culture won't change, but you can change. And that's a start, and the company in the long run will thank you, for it is sometimes they're afraid to try things differently. There are two key concepts that I discussed in the book, Don't Let Life Pass You By, Win the Game of Work and Play, to keep your vision sharp, so you don't fall into these traps despite others around you. The first one is Peter's principle, and it basically states that people rise to the level of their incompetence. So when you see an employee who is doing a poor job as they climb the ranks, and you have all these things in your head you would like to say about the work performance of this individual, think to yourself first, why are they behaving like this? Is it because they haven't developed the skills yet to be successful at that position? How can you avoid the trap yourself? Sure, they aren't really doing well at this position, but let's turn it inward so you can improve. When I moved from an engineer to a manager, I realized that I needed a different set of skills to overcome the new challenges. So to not rise to the level of my incompetence, I went on to pursue a master's in psychology, read self-help books, and attended trainings to learn how to better manage and lead people. I still do that today, averaging over 40 books a year and attending and even watching various trainings. The second concept to be aware of in the workplace is the Dunning-Kruger effect, the peak of Mount Stupid, as demonstrated when bank robbers in the 90s Believing that lemon juice would make them invisible to the cameras when robbing the banks, they were actually surprised when actually caught by the police. Now, unfortunately, we all have bad days and make mistakes. This isn't about that, nor is it about being on the job for one day and making a mistake the second. People are so worried about what they look like and forget what to actually do to be good. Forget what you look like as a manager or engineer or employee, trying to use the latest buzzword or implement the new flavor of the month, trying to throw a Hail Mary pass when your team isn't even facing the right end zone. Focus on what will make you great at what you're doing. It's more about a sense of intellectual humility here. Humble that you don't know everything and continually question yourself in a way that allows you to be open and grow intellectually. So how do you avoid this trap yourself? When I learn new concepts, I continue to ask why and don't always rely on that one fact that might have helped me in the past. I try to cross-reference my facts as well. So let's tie all this together, because let's face it, changing the workplace culture is a daunting task and sometimes near impossible. But you can do yourself a favor by changing how you look at work, so it flows not by staring at the time passing you by, but by the day actually flowing in the activities you perform. Controlling it at this level can help you get back to what you once enjoyed doing with the work. So let's jump into an example. You've been tasked to prepare for another audit that is going to allow the company to keep manufacturing parts. So it's a big deal. You've done it before, but you can't simply copy and paste the results from last time. The hundreds of pages in the checklist are daunting, and the work to be done is no cram it in the night before the test sort of scenario. So let's turn to the flow channel and see how we can get into a flow state to get this audit preparation done. Now, first off, we see that if we're starting here, the amount of checklist questions makes us maybe feel anxious. But relying on the skills that we've developed through experience, such as reading the specifications and talking with the operators on the floor, do we start to find a groove into the flow channel. And then we move on to the next question, and all of a sudden, the challenge gets upped again. So as you find, we keep repeating this process, keeping the pieces small, they're going to add up to the large collective, and we're going to finish the audit preparation. Now remember that success is not good luck, it's good skills. So what is going on here in the flow channel? What we're doing here, in essence, is breaking the job down into the little things you love to do. I love to solve problems, so solving each question like a problem reminds me of the work I enjoy doing. See the challenge, learn and develop the skill to solve it. Seeing where I fall in the flow channel allows me to flow through my day and not have me sitting at the clock waiting until it's time to leave. Sticking to the simple challenge and skills balance ratio, the work gets done. And at times, it even feels like a little game to play to find flow. So don't get wrapped up in the workplace politics of the Dunning-Kruger effect and Peter's principle. Find the flow state. Win the game of work and play.